Muting always helps. Welcome to this broadcast today. My name is Laura and I am broadcasting through New Thought Media Network. Yes, woo, amazing. I'm so thrilled to be here this morning and to be diving straight into your awakening, your spiritual awakening, your transformation. That's what this is all about. We are all awakening in each moment to the degree that we realize it. And as we realize it, our world changes, our lives change, our understandings change, our expectation changes. And often this can be confusing, scary, and that unknown territory, kind of leaping across the liminal, that space where we're just kind of held, and it's like, oh, what is happening here? And today I want to talk more about that and to talk on, what it is when the reality that we, or the world that we know, or what it is that we desire, and what is here in our heart and in our mind, because we've seen it differently, we know it differently, we've got a glimpse, we had a glimpse, we still have that glimpse in our hearts and we're living it. And yet for some reason, there's a misalignment and it's not matching what the lived experience, and how we navigate that, and what it is that we are called to be doing, being in the moment, so that we get to align with the experience that we're living. Because in that place of misalignment, there is a suffering. There's this, and we all go through this, and especially if we've had an awakening where we see the light and we're in the light and we know the light, and then it's like, oh, what? What's happening? Because many a time what happens, or what does happen, is that our reality as we know it will crumble. It has to crumble because it's no longer being supported with the thought processes and the idea of life that we had before we were awakened. So our reality as we see it crumbles, and that can be extremely scary, because it's as if we are losing control of everything, and yet we're not. Because what's really truly happening is that when this happens for us, when we awaken, we are then introduced to a new way of being. And that new way is a much higher frequency, a much higher vibration, a much higher state or stage of consciousness. And so everything that was below that, or happening for us in our lives when we were, pre this awakening, has to dissolve, because it's no longer supported. And in that dissolving, we feel like our life is falling apart, and yet it's piecing together, because there has to be this crumbling so that the new can emerge, so that there is space, so that there is this expanse of possibility. I mean, most spiritual practice, we know, is about letting go. Most spiritual practice that we do is the letting go of, it's the dissolving of, it's the forgiveness of, it's the unattachment of, it's the not being, invested in the outcome. It's really about letting go and unlearning the old thoughts, the old ways, being willing to deconstruct the idea that we had of life, so that we have space to remember who we are. Most spiritual practice, good spiritual practice, true spiritual practice, focuses on the letting go of. We cannot build upon, it's that thing, the quote from well, I'm not going to quote directly, but in the Bible we hear from the master teacher, and we hear in so many scriptures that we have to build our house on a solid foundation. If we're continuing to build on the old ideas, then the house will crumble. The foundation will not support us. Your comment here. Yes, hi Wayne, morning. and welcome to today's broadcast. We all breathe light. Yes, and we all are light. And to the degree that we recognize this and embody this into our knowing is to how we then live our lives as light. I'm going to continue because its most spiritual practice is about the unlearning. We have to unlearn. We have to be willing to say, I don't know. I don't know. That doesn't mean we don't know. It means, we're willing to have that space to know so that we're learning and growing. Because if we know everything, then there's no space. So it's really good to not know. Now I want to stick with this topic that I'm on, which is about what happens when the desire or the new knowing and the outer reality do not seem to match. And how we manage ourselves in that, how we manage our emotions, how we manage our preconception of life, how we manage our attitudes, if you like, during that. That management, that self-management is so vital, especially if we've had an experience that kind of knocks our socks off and we do just like, oh my God, what is happening with my life here? If we've had that experience, which is why you're here, and it's why I assist people through this, guiding people to understand this experience more deeply for their lives so that they can integrate it into this experience that they don't want, because when we have that experience, then we're faced with the way we lived our lives and how it was, and we see it around us and kind of deny that it was ever like that. And we don't want it. We want this light. And so our responsibility is to bring this light through, which Wayne was talking about, and to be this light, even if that outer experience is still a lingering from the old, which it always is, even if it's not wanted. We are here to shine the light, to radiate, illuminate our own light into this experience. So what we're called to do is to use the awakening, to actually be present with it, to be the participator of it afterwards, and to really shine it out. And it's going to illuminate everything. It's going to illuminate what we think we want, what we think we don't want. The people that are around us in our lives, they will be illuminated. Our thoughts, feelings, attitudes pre the awakening will all be illuminated because we'll be witnessing it, like in Technicolor. And then we have this amazing and incredible opportunity to refresh and begin again from the new place, from the new knowing. This is a process. It is not a 5-minute done job. This is an ongoing process, and we need support in this process. We need support as the eggshell cracks open and we emerge from that. We need support in becoming more present with the light that we are, because many people will be either offended or not understand or not willing to support us, or will not be scared, or they'll be scared by it, or we're showing up in a brand new light. You've awakened to whatever degree that is, and that's shattering the old, and you're going to show up and be very present with this new light, and people will be peed off with it. People won't understand it. People are close, suddenly it's like, okay, done with that. But that's fine, because that's where we come to that understanding that friendships are friendships, are for a season, a reason, a season, a lifetime. We have to be mature in our emotional understanding of that, our emotional intelligence of the relationships that we have. So I would like to I brought out a couple of scriptures here because I love these scriptures. I love both of them. The first is the Tao Te Ching, which is thousands of years written, thousands of years ago, and this just came out to me. In fact, there was already the marker in here, and so I just really thought this would be beautiful to read. Bend and you will be whole. Curl and you will be straight. Keep empty and you will be filled. And grow old and you will be renewed. I'm going to read that again. Bend and you will be whole. Curl and you will be straight. Keep empty and you will be filled. And grow old and you will be renewed. Have and you will gain. Have much and you will be confused. And I believe this is everything that, it's not everything, but it hints on what I've been saying. That when we empty, when we release and live into the experience of the awakening that's happening for us, then we become this vessel, this open vessel where we're ready to receive the knowledge and the wisdom and the information and the gifts that are here already to fill our hearts, and we live as those gifts. We give out to ourselves first, and then out with the purpose and the new calling and the new mandate that is seated in your heart. Many people who have an awakening are ready to share this. They're ready to be the portal, to be the light, to be the one that says, and I'm here to do this. You know, we don't want to keep this inside of us and not speak of it and not be the way shower and the leader for what it is during that awakening that's been seeded in our hearts. And more are waking up right now, or becoming enlightened in this way where there's a passion and there is a purpose that cannot stop. It's running through our hearts, and we know we have to share this with many people. That's why I'm here now, to assist you to sharing this, to opening up, to sharing what's been seeded in your heart, your purpose, your calling, your dharma, that persistent thing that keeps saying to you, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, you've got to do this, and you can't ignore it. You've got to be ready for it. And that means you've got to be open and released and empty. And when, in the last year, has given us many opportunities to release on a physical level, on an emotional level, a spiritual level, on a mental level, that we've had opportunities to just say, it's okay, I don't need this in my atmosphere, I don't need this around me anymore. For me, it was like again, release every single most physical things and understand what that is like again, to be empty of the physicality of life. So we are constantly being given this opportunity, and the awakening is like the spark. I think I put a little spark in there on the message. I hope I did on the thing. Oh, I didn't do it. The spark that will be this constant reminder continually from there on. Yes, the spark is in there. So that was the first reading. And then I have another one, which now I have just put the book down, and the page has been eek. Okay, devotees. And this is the Bhagavad Gita, which again is an ancient text, from India, whereas this is Eastern or from, the Tao Te Ching, which is comes from that Chinese lineage. Here we go into India with the Bhagavad Gita, again an ancient text that millions of people are devoted to and read and live by. And I want to bring this in because I love reading these texts, and I love hearing what Sri Krishna says here, when he's questioned by Arjuna, and it's like there's always this internal kind of conflict going on in Arjuna's mind of the fight, of should he be in the fight, should he be out of the fight, what should he be doing? And here we have, devotees enter into him, we can take as, the divine presence. When the bonds of their desires are broken, to reach this goal, they practice control of their passions. So this is him saying, when we are willing to just become that place of being and unattached from the situation, without any judgment, without any of how it should be or how it shouldn't be. And this goes back to, the title of this today. If you're watching this now, it's in America and it's morning time for you, what a perfect thing to watch first thing. If you are, then you know that we get this opportunity in every moment to empty. And if the outer is not matching what you think it should be, which for many of us is, because we're pre-programmed to expect it to be a certain way. If it's not, then this is the key here, to remain in that place of not knowing and empty of any judgment or any expectation of how it should be, and live in the moment through the spark of the new awakening that is present within you, within your heart. And that is a whole thing that takes practice. And it takes, just checking the time, and it takes a willingness to surrender, to continually surrender, with no blame, with no letting go of shame, letting go of guilt, and of actually doing the work as it comes up. And what I mean by work is, I mean addressing the beliefs and the feelings and the attitudes and the inner expectations, and working through them and being willing to look at them and say, this isn't the truth that I've been thinking. This is the old replaying out, and now I've had this experience. I can turn to the truth and know the truth and be safe in this place. Knowing that I'm always supported. I mean, I'm going to share an example here. The most incredible thing has happened, in the last couple of days for me and for Jason, where money just showing up, from in a place where it's like, oh my word, never even knew it could come from there. And it's that whole thing of opening up to not having a judgment or an expectation of where there is this set idea of how something should show up, and allowing it to come through, and then realizing our needs are always met, because I didn't even know it could show up from there, that way, like that. And that's kind of been, and it had been kind of staring me in the face for about 4 months, and I didn't see it, because we have our perception and we're limited in it. And when we open, then we start seeing things in a different way, the same thing in a different way. And then we see the opportunity and the possibility that lies within that particular situation, and realize the prosperity of that. And so now what we're saying is, oh my gosh, my needs are met. My needs are met, even when I don't think they are, even when I can't see that they are, even when I can't believe that they are. My needs are met. So if your outer reality is not matching the experience that you have experienced through a spiritual awakening, through a transformational awakening opportunity that you've recently had, what that means is that you are refusing to live from the light that you have just been gifted. You've just been gifted this opportunity to see the light, to know it, to be it. And your job is the only job that you have, is to live as that light, from that light. And when you tune in there with this, we all breathe light. And that light is breathing through all of us. And Ernest Holmes quotes, we live and move and have our being in the divine. And that is what we're doing in every moment. And that, as we do that and know that, we're nurturing the awakening that we have had, that we have experienced, that is a precious gift, that is the gift that is so wanting to let you know what it is that you are here, this soul calling that you are here to express and share with the world, with humanity. So there is my on it for today. If you have any questions, if there's anything that you want to know more about, then contact me through Facebook. You can join the Spiritual Awakening Alignment group, and you can look at my website to know more of the offerings that are there to assist you is over this kind of light rainbow light bridge over from from the experience that you have just come through and come from, and how you align with that in 3D reality. We think that we're squeezing like a 10D experience back into 3D. And in fact, it's the other way around. We are 10D experience and the 3D we own that experience. It's the other way around. To squeeze ourselves into the old. We are knowing that we expand as this new experience, and because it cannot be supported by the light of the knowing of the truth of who we are and what we've experienced. Awakening. Isn't this exciting? I'm very excited by it, and I'm very excited that this is what I'm doing now, 2 days a week here on New Thought Network and throughout the week as well on other platforms. So, know that whatever you're going through, whatever you've experienced, that you are safe, that you are grounded, that you find that knowing of peace and harmony within your heart, and that you are open to this absolute flow of this unconditional love that is absolutely illuminating itself through you right now. Accept it, say yes to it, and live as it. And then you will experience this awakening in the highest form for years afterwards. And I'm living proof of this, as the experience that happened for me 9 years ago is still very, very, very prominent in my life and in my remembrance of who I am. So blessings and love and peace to you. And we're here on New Thought Media Network, this incredible platform broadcasting ministry that is here serving you with so many shows and teachings and broadcasts. So if this touches your heart and you feel like being a part of the reciprocal flow process financially, there's a love offering button down below, and anything that you do contribute goes straight to this incredible focus ministry where, that is doing so much great work on our planet right now for humanity. Until next time, have an amazing let's get back into there. Have an amazing day, and knowing so much love for you in your heart always. See you next time.